My name is Axel Pawlik. I'm the managing director of the RIPE NCC. So a different organization. Now we're switching to the Netherlands and this service region. So I want to give you an update about what we have been doing, what we will be doing, how we are doing things, some statistics, and hopefully I'll be able to answer some of your questions. I'm trying for the 1 minute at the end, as Arnold did, but of course there's the coffee break, and just grab me there if you need to. So, what is the RIPE Network Coordination Center? It is mainly, or it was invented as the secretariat for the RIPE community, so you're part of the RIPE community, clearly. We have been charged originally with maintaining the cohesion of the couple of people who were starting to run IP-based networks in Europe at the time. We were there to ensure there's enough coffee and enough cookies for those RIPE meetings. And quickly thereafter, we have been also charged with giving out IP addresses, ASNs, and maintaining the RIPE database, who is using which addresses, where are they, how can I reach them for operational purposes. Well, that's a long time ago. We also since have taken up other activities. Measurements is something that we've done relatively early on and are still doing with RIPE Atlas. Giving access to information, to data that we have amassed through our various ways. RIPE Stat is the prime example for that. Some other tools, services, training, for instance, capacity building, outreach. We are fully funded by our members. So we are fully autonomous. We do what our members tell us. We are a membership association, which is a very nice position to be in. We are open, transparent, or we strive to be open, transparent, neutral, and impartial in everything we are doing. And I think we are doing a fairly good job on that. Of course, we can always improve, and I'm very happy to hear from you where we should improve on those things. Right. So like I said, what have we been doing over the last months, or last year actually? This is a couple of numbers from the annual report 2018. During 2018 we have seen an influx of more than 4,400 new members. We have given out more than 4,600 IPv4 allocations, the last /22s, from the last /22s. And we've done nearly 2,500 IPv6 allocations. It's quite nice. We try to meet our members and the community in places like this. So over the course of last year, we met over 2,000 attendees at meetings that we organized as the RIPE NCC. We've done nearly 100 trainings for, again, more than 2,000 participants in 55 locations across our service region. There will be a slide coming up pointing those out. We do strive to help our members with what we call assisted registry checks. So making sure that what's in the database, what's in the registry is correct. So occasionally we call out to our members doing this. Over the course of last year, more than 2,600 of those checks were done. And a good number, 83, during RIPE meetings, where we have RIPE meetings, we have our staff there. You can just come up and say, oh, can you please do an ARC on our address holdings? Like I said, we run a measuring network, RIPE Atlas, it's called these days. And the initial goal was to have more than 10,000 active probes connected to it around the world. We have achieved that. So at some point we have said we don't want to invest members' money in this anymore, but we have had over the last couple of years sponsors who were then paying for new probes that we could distribute throughout the world, and we are looking for new sponsors there. But more than 10,000 probes, that's quite nice, of course. Most of them, so the bulk of them sits in our service region. I think that's quite natural, but a good number is also seen around the world. RIPE Atlas anchors basically mega probes, much more computing power behind us of condensers there, more than 450 by now, by the end of last year, of course. So we are a bit proud of all that. From the financial report, that might bore you terribly, but maybe also not. So we should report on this. We have good and strong and sustainable relations we feel with our members as we go towards the final IPv4 runout. And of course, we've said IPv4 runout many, many years, but it's happening. And we expect this to happen at the end of this year or maybe very early next year, depending on how things go. Cost management is important. We focus on this. We talk to our community. My board puts some pressure on me as well to see that we stay within the allotted budget and the budget doesn't grow too much. Capital and liquidity management looks quite good if you look at the numbers there of the financial report. And yeah, transparency, again, also in financial operations is important to us. Now we are a membership association incorporated in the Netherlands, an office in Amsterdam. Being a membership association brings with it that we have members, quite a number of them, more than 20,000. And those members come together twice a year at general meetings, and they do certain things they may do and certain things they, of course, also have to do. So we had 2 weeks ago, or 10 days ago more or less, we had a general meeting during the RIPE meeting in Reykjavik. What we did there, what the members did there, is adopt the financial report for last year to discharge the executive board of its duties as they appear in the annual report 2018. It's a bit of a mouthful. And also the members adopted the new/old charging scheme for next year, 2020, where we had 2 different options to vote on, and the existing model was favored by quite a bit, so that's staying in place. We had board elections for seats on the executive board. 2 seats were open. Nigel did choose not to stand again for elections, and also Remco's term was up. So we have Remco coming back through the elections, and also Andrej Filip from Czechia as a new member on the board. A new boss for me, it's always interesting. Right, membership growth. I promised some statistics. Oh, up to the right, of course. So far in 2019, this year, we've already seen 8% growth. We have more than 13,700 local internet registry accounts activated since we ran out of the last /8 in 2012. Since we reached the last /8 in 2012. Looking at the immediate environment, membership growth in Georgia is quite impressive here. We look at Georgia, Armenia, and Azerbaijan, and there's a certain uptick in, where's that? 2016, from 2016 on, that's nice. It's the 7th highest number of LIR accounts per country in the ENOG region. 15 countries in that one. Right, looking at the year ahead, what is our focus? What is strategically important for us? What do we focus on this year and, of course, into next year? Obviously, we are finally running out of IPv4 addresses. We have some left, and sort of, we are not in the business of doing a proper, precise forecast here because we can't. Policies might change, and this might affect this, but we are looking at early 2020, very late this year maybe, that we don't have any /22s left anymore. So what we do, we have to communicate clearly about this and about the procedures of how we are handling this. We have to adjust our processes and our software where that is necessary. Keep you people informed. What are our challenges this year, over the last couple of months or years and into the next year? We do see quite an increase in workload. Our people are working really hard due to the strong growth in membership, that's one, and also due to the increasing complexity in requests that we are seeing. There are lots of transfers going on between different organizations, and it's sometimes quite hard to figure out what's going on. So there's quite a lot of attention going into that. Then at some point we figure we might see a drop in membership growth, or we will quite likely see a drop in membership growth after the run out. So what do we do there? How are we set up? Financially we are stable, but of course we want to remain stable. What are the services? What are the particulars of the activities that we are doing as RIPE NCC looking at that? I mentioned transfers. There is a lot going on in transfers, which is great. Our role here is to maintain high accuracy in the RIPE registry. That is vital. That is something that we are relied upon by third parties like yourselves. And of course, looking at infrastructure processes, making sure that things are running as smoothly and efficiently as is possible. Right. Looking forward into next year, also towards next year. For this year, I said efficiency is important, agility to react to changing needs in the community, to challenges that are emerging. Looking at our infrastructure, making sure that it's resilient and safe and stable. Registry accuracy needs to be better all the time. Looking at accountability, and we've done the accountability task force close recently. We've done a couple of years in sort of introspection. How is the RIPE community accountable? And before that, we looked at the organization, the RIPE NCC, how are we accountable, to whom are we accountable, and how are the processes and how is transparency looking there. Due diligence is important as we are giving out scarce resources that are apparently becoming valuable on some sort of market. So it's important that we do the right things and do them properly. I mentioned data for measurements. I mentioned data from our registry as well, like who is using addresses, where are they allocated to which economies, which countries, which ISPs. So to provide that data in a reliable way, good quality data is important. To be a neutral source of information. Like I said, we are not a commercial entity. We are run by our members for members' money, so we have no particular self-interest or any commercial interest. We can do this, and we are seen as a neutral source of information there, which is great. Engagement activities. Yep, that is something that is happening pretty stably, pretty regularly over the many years already. We see a renewed interest, or a stronger interest possibly, by law enforcement, by regulators, again, by governments, in how we are doing things and what are we doing, those RIRs, and how are we developing how you are developing the policies that guide us in our activities. So that's also important to do. And in the end, I think it helps doing this kind of thing, outreach to governments and to regulators. It helps to keep them off your backs or our members' backs to some degree, so that you are able to do your business as unencumbered as is possible. Right. So I talked quite a lot about due diligence and things like that, and I want to give you some statistics there as well. The majority of our members are doing fine, but of course there are a couple of cases that we've seen over the last months and years, and they are on the increase of, I don't know, fraud and things that look quite iffy. So we have talked about closing memberships from our end due to violations to policy and more to the processes and documentation that we need to see. We've talked about this, but apparently not entirely clearly enough. So we want to do better. So that's the title on the slide. It's a bit weird. So we've seen a quite massive increase in fraud, and that, when detected, results in closures of memberships. That is covered by the Articles of Association and by the service agreement that we have with our members. We recently had a RIPE NCC Day in Moscow, and during that there was quite a bit of discussion and some concern, and a sense that possibly members in the ENOG region are being singled out and targeted unfairly in this closure procedure. So, like I said, we want to communicate about this and tell you what we are doing as far as we can. So we had a presentation at the RIPE meeting, which is, of course, available online. If you have any particular questions, please do let us know, and as far as possible, I'll answer them. Right, and then on to some statistics. So here we see the years from 2014 to today, the number of closures that we've done. Like I said, we have about more than 20,000 LIR accounts. We've done 69 closures so far. In terms of countries, I think it's fairly balanced. There is one country that sticks out, SC, I think it's Seychelles. Yeah, that's the facts. Those are the closures that we have done. So this is what we're talking about when we're talking about closures. The by far vast majority of our members is fully up to date with what they're doing. Their entries in the registry are, as far as we can say, quite correct. We've done those closures mostly for providing untruthful information about our members themselves in their process as they apply to receive resources. And in a couple of cases also due to providing untruthful information about customers of our members. So in the big picture, things are quite good, I think. But of course, we're hearing different things. What we heard in Moscow there is that, oh, the RIPE NCC's approach has suddenly changed. They're getting tougher, and well, how can we hear about this? How can we avoid mistakes? So how can we be sure that we are not inadvertently do things that the people in Amsterdam don't like? Okay, we can talk about that too. And uncertainty worries us most, and that's something I can relate to, of course. So what is expected from our members? How precarious is their situation? What are the guidelines? How can they make sure they do the right things at all times? Right, we can go through that. So the RIPE NCC's approach has changed was one of the sentences that we heard. Well, mainly we are a membership association. We are here for our members. We are working for our members and for the greater good of the internet. And there is no change in that. Our primary concern around all these internet resources is that we run an accurate registry, that we make sure as far as we can that the data is correct in there, can be relied on, that our members' address holdings are safe. So when we do things, when we prepare to do things like potentially closing memberships, we do give warnings, we offer guidance. When we find a problem, we call people up, we send them quite a number of emails, making sure that we understand what's going on and that possibly things in the registry can be corrected. If somebody makes a silly mistake, yep, that happens, I've done that too, that will not result in the closure of any memberships or any network. Of course, if people are careless and there's sort of a pattern established there, then we'll talk to them sternly, and at some point, if that is not getting better, we'll close the membership. And yeah, like I said, pattern, there might be a pattern emerging that stuff that is presented to us is wrong again, is fraudulent, and then we'll report those cases to the local police force in Amsterdam, and as instructed by our board, and then we close the membership. So basically, if anything has changed, then it's the increase in fraud that prompts us to crank up our due diligence, to be a little bit more of a pain in the back to everybody to make sure that the data is correct. Next question was, how can we avoid mistakes? So there's some quite exciting in some way forgeries, but this is not about the forensics. This is basically about interaction with us, processes, what data is to be presented to us. So occasionally, when we see patterns emerging, possibly, interesting names being used for contact persons, possibly, we do call out to end users, and maybe nobody answers. Some company answers with a totally different company name, or contact email doesn't work, stuff like that. Or we reach somebody that we see the name of in our papers, but they have no idea what we are talking about, no relationship to the company putting that information into our systems. So those kinds of things are really weird. We think something bad is going on here. And that's when we, of course, talk to our members and try to find out. And if something is explained in a good way, then fine. If that can't be explained, if we find real trouble there, then again, that's a reason for closing the membership. But basically, we run those assisted registry checks also to ensure that our database is correct, that the data in there is correct, but also to help our members to keep their stuff up to date. So if by any chance you have concerns, you don't feel quite at ease with what is in our database and what is reflected there of real life, please do talk to us and ask us to do a registry check together with you. That'll be fine. The other question was uncertainty. Oh, that is difficult to live with. We are really worried about this. Bad things might happen to our membership, and then what do we do with our business? So some of this needs to be somewhat uncertain in the public view. We cannot disclose all sorts of details about conflicts that we have with our members. We are bound by confidentiality there. On the other hand, we have arbiters. Some of the cases ended up with the arbitration system, and then the findings of the arbiters to some degree are public, and then you can read up. There are some links on the slides here as well. So then we get the question, but precisely what do you need to see so that you don't balk on us? And then we say, look, precisely what we need to see we cannot tell you, because that will enable you to go around that, right, and to figure something out. So we don't want to do that. How many mistakes do we tolerate? I don't know. It depends on the mistake. If it's a mistake, we tolerate quite a number of them, but if it's something more serious, then not so much. Right. So, like I said earlier somewhere in the slides, we are a trusted source of information. People trust us, that's good. That's crucial for our role as Regional Internet Registry or as a membership association. We need to be trusted by the members. We do what our members are telling us to do. We looked at accountability, and we found that the RIPE NCC as a membership organization is accountable to its members. I have an executive board. They are checking what I'm doing. If they feel something isn't quite right, they ask me for some more details to explain what's happening. Transparency, I think, isn't too bad. Actually, it's quite good. So yeah, that's what we're talking about. It's not simple mistakes and typing errors, typos. It's about actual fraud that is reported to the police. Stealing resources from other networks, from other members, evading RIPE policies, going around the community agreed policies, fake identities to obtain resources there and to sell them off possibly on the market. Those kinds of things. At this point, I do think we are doing quite a good job, but you might have different opinions, and please let us know what we could improve, as long as it's realistic, right? Okay, some more happy things. This was not so happy, possibly. Activities that we are currently doing, engagement and outreach. I talked about a map. So that's a lot of things that have been going on throughout our service region. RIPE meetings, regional meetings, member lunches, NOG support, national, regional IGFs, face-to-face training courses, community building through RIPE labs, a cooperation with academics. We heard about RACI earlier on, the academic cooperation. We do hackathons, or support hackathons also. We do roundtable meetings with governments occasionally, but regularly. So nicely spread through our service region, we think. We have, for a couple of years now, the Community Projects Fund. That basically means we have €250,000 every year, as long as it gets into the budget, for projects that are supporting the resilience and operation of the internet in our service region. We have a selection committee that picks those projects that get funding from the proposals. There's 4 people there. Mika has to leave the committee, so we want to add one more seat so we have an uneven number there for decision making. So there are 2 seats open. nominate yourself or your friend or somebody that you know who would take pride in being on that committee. It's open, nomination period is open until the 16th of June. RIPE Atlas, I mentioned Atlas, probes around the globe, it's a great thing, but we've heard also quite a lot of demand for virtual probes, software-based solutions there. So RIPE Atlases are now available as virtual machines, and we are looking at making also the probes available in software only. Atlas Tools and Data, we're continually working on that, building new tools and also getting together new data sets for getting information out to you, to our members, to the world at large. We are quite proud that RIPE Atlas does get quite a number of referrals from research articles and analysis outside of this RIPE and RIR community as well. Like I said, we want to cover as much of the globe as possible, and there is a certain sort of greenish tinge in the northern hemisphere, not that much in the south. We would like to get more probes out. So the idealistic picture is to get a probe into every ASN, every autonomous system. Well, that's hard, but we are pushing. We are looking for sponsors for RIPE Atlas probes, or for RIPE Atlas in general. So if you are interested in this, if you benefit from those measurements, please become a sponsor or consider whether you could do that. Or if you know somebody, tell them. In the training field, like I said, we do quite a lot of trainings, face-to-face trainings. They're great. We also do sort of virtual online trainings and webinars and those things. We are developing our training outreach, that we do what we call certified professionals. That is people who get basically an online certified badge, a certificate that is tagged to a validated person, like a person that we know who took the test. That's something that is launching soon for the RIPE database course. We are looking for people, guinea pigs basically, who want to go through this and are not too upset if things are a little bit clunky still. But we are looking at rolling this out towards the end of the year and into next year. Quite a bit of potential in that particular type of service. Yes, survey, we need to know what you're thinking of us. Do tell us, do tell the board, send us emails, and some of you do, quite a lot of them, that's great. But also please do participate in the big survey that we only do every 3 years. And we made this a little bit more compact, so it's not as much work for you to do. Also, we rolled it out in a number of different languages, so it's easier for you to fill it in. So last year we did 4,400 participants. That was quite a nice result, but of course we want to beat this. We want to have more people responding to it. This is the last survey before we run out of IPv4. Like I said, it's available in 8 languages. Please do participate. Among the participation, we raffle off prizes, like I think iPads. The first one has been raffled off already into the ENOG service region, but of course I can't tell you where it goes to and to whom, because that's beyond my pay grade, but we'll hear about this when the time comes. So please continue to take part in the survey. And with that, I have 2 minutes until the break, I think. I'm open to questions, and also you can drag me to the coffee bar, of course, in the break if you want to. Thank you.
Спасибо, Axel.
Maybe we go back to the slide with the closed lists. The slide with the closed lists. This one? Yes, yes. Please tell us, what is the general number of the multi-lists which have been closed this year and also in the previous year? This year and the previous year. How many? Мы, вот как видим, в этом году мы уже закрыли несколько наших членов. В прошлом году еще больше. И, наверное, как видите, 37 мы закрыли. Это самое большое количество.
Информация, которую я имею, это не 52 лира, это около там 100 или 200 лиров. Ты имеешь в виду 100 и 200 лиров, которые предоставили подложную
Да, с
информацию?
учетом мультилиров. Сколько всего лиров было с учетом мультилир аккаунтов?
I cannot answer that right now, but we can look it up.
Этот вопрос
А
можно забрать домой, но
Райп-борд в курсе, что вот эти вот лиры были закрыты?
Did you know that they were closed?
Я имею в виду, что
I mean that
Board, executive board,
the executive
в курсе
board,
всех кейсов,
did they know all of the cases regarding the closure?
They know
Они знают,
general idea
а знают генеральную, то есть общую
and
идею.
for which rough reasons as well, yes.
Следующий вопрос. Организации подают документы в RIPE NCC для того, чтобы становиться
Documents to
лирами.
RIPE NCC to become the leaders. In the case, if you find some mistakes, you review, you consider those cases, and of course you take some measures. Particularly, they close them. Why the staff, in fact, do not have the proper the review or checking of the documents. They open them, then they close them. So, and why you allow that type of the list which can make the mistake?
Question, but maybe we can take it to the coffee break. Maybe you're asking me why we allow our members to submit faulty documentation in cases where it's not about themselves as members, but more about their end users. If that is the case, then I think, of course, our members, if they're talking about the end users and their customers and their documentation, they have also the responsibility to check on documentation themselves before they deliver that to us, if that is your question.
Нет, не совсем. Есть у нас два вопроса, даже разбить на два вопроса можно. Первый – это если не так что-то с самим...
So, if something is wrong with LIR and with documents, and then there was a closure, that is one thing. Or if LIR provides documents to the third organization, and the information is fraudulent there. So, well, with closures we do understand if the documentation of LIR is fraudulent. But if LIA provides document to the third party, and these documents are wrong, then why these LIRs are closed? We think that in such a case LIRs should not be closed. It is necessary to look deeper into the problem and then to decide, based on the consideration of the problem, whether or not to effect a closure.
All right, then that is the case that I was talking about. I think it is the responsibility of our members to ensure that the documentation that they are providing to us, even if it regards third parties like their customers, that documentation is correct. That's as a member, your due diligence to do that before you send those things to us.
Как мы видим, RIPE NCC получил очень много документов, проверил их, одобрил, выдал лиров, а потом закрыл. Таким образом,
Documents approved them and then, in fact, allowed LIRs, but then there were many closures, but no one was sacked from among the staff of RIPE NCC. So actually, it was, I believe, the responsibility of this respective staff of RIPE NCC to look deep into the documents. Вы знаете, я, конечно, не могу и не хочу сейчас обсуждать конкретные...
In RIPE NCC's favor. There are a couple of questions behind you still, and I think we are now into the coffee break. But grab me outside of this room. I know.
Okay, can you go to the next slide, please? Alexander Savnin, Internet Protection Society. Well, beautiful magic of presentation. How many is this green column in the numbers?
We have an absolute number of members, over, I don't know, 18,000.
Well, it's number closed, so we'll see.
Oh, the members closed. That
Yeah.
looks like roughly 68, 69.
Yeah, and small green column?
I
Two?
don't know, 4? I can't say.
Yeah, okay, it's a pity because it's still a question which is open until RIPE NCC Regional Meeting in Moscow, but we have a picture, it's much better. I have a very specific question on behalf of a member of RIPE NCC. Have you informed RIPE NCC Executive Board, the RIPE NCC, well, with your signature, starts closing members for end-user documents. Not just for fake documents, but especially that members start being closed for providing fake end-user documents, and have executive board been informed in this?
The executive board has instructed me personally and the RIPE NCC staff to report cases of fraud to the police forces, which we are doing, and that covers all documentation that is sent to us that is fraudulent. And whether it's about an LIR, about customers of an LIR that is then sent in order to gain access to resources, that falls under the same thing. So yes,
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Dima.
Sir Axel, just a quick comment. I see that Seychelles Island is really fraudulent country, I guess. I mean, it was 2018. Maybe you can click back so you see what you mean. Yeah, but I'm not asking. The HL code isn't delegated to any country. What exactly is that? I just
Good
checked
question. I don't know. I have to find
Seriously,
out
it's
myself.
like maybe it's Netherlands
maybe it's a
or
typo. No.
Hong Kong.
Which one?
HL. There is no
is
such
Hong Kong.
country. Seriously, and there's been 3 of these, so it can be just.
HL.
Yeah.
Okay, I have to look up what that is.
And I guess a
We
quick
can
comment.
clarify that.
Like, let's say it's China or US. These are not RIPE regions, so it's like companies with RIPE
Oh yeah, of
membership.
course. Those are all members that we had that might come from outside the service region.
Sure, but the HL case is cute. Okay, thanks.
We'll find out. Quick googling.
Аксель, спасибо большое еще раз. Тогда мы... да, Евгений, можно похлопать.